Hello everyone, WallaceMan105 here, and today we are in the Redstone testing world to kick off a new series on the channel of rail techs. Minecarts are a very fun looking and very flavorful part of Minecraft's transportation system. However, they're a little underappreciated, underdeveloped, and lackluster. But there is more that can be done with them if you know how to coax out the power. So that's what this series will be. Lots and lots of things that you can do with minecarts. But since we're on episode 1, we're going to begin with the basics. We're going to cover the types of rails. So, kicking us off with the standard rail, we have 6 iron ingots and a single stick to net you 16 of these. These rails are very simple. They add no momentum. Carts lose momentum for every block they travel on them. They can go up hills, down hills, around corners. And that's really about it. There will be more to say about corner rails later, but for now, that's how they operate. Moving on to powered rails. 6 gold ingots, a stick, redstone dust is going to net you 6 of these, and these add or subtract momentum from minecarts based on whether or not they have a redstone signal. They can go up hills and down hills, but they cannot go around corners, and they carry a redstone signal for 8 rails. Next up on our list are detector rails, requiring 6 iron ingots, a redstone dust, and a stone pressure plate. Detector rails will give you 6 from their recipe, and they function by letting you know when a minecart has passed over them. Like powered rails, they can go up, down, but not around corners. These are also extremely useful for pulling redstone signals out of a minecart line. And as you can see with chest minecarts, if you pull from the block below a detector rail, it will be true or false. Either there's a minecart or there's not. It does not care if anything is inside the cart. It just tells you whether or not one is here. Then here on this chest, you can see that it will tell you whether or not there are items in there, and it'll give you a signal strength based on the contents. If a regular minecart passes over this setup, it will not put out an output. Finally, for the fun cousin of the group, we have Activator Rails. 6 iron ingots, a redstone torch, and 2 sticks will net you 6 activator rails. Much like all the other variants, these rails can go up and down hills and along straight lines, but they cannot corner. When a minecart with a passenger in it passes over an activated activator rail, it will kick out the passenger. Like so. It does not, however, break the minecart, unfortunately. And their other use involves activating TNT minecarts. There's more complicated math to be had about how TNT minecarts become activated, but for now, just know that this is your surefire way to send them loose. Returning now to the topic of corner rails that I hinted at earlier, here we're going to discuss how corner rails work, also known as why your rails don't work the way you want them to. Corner rails, when given the opportunity, will always follow the southeast rule. If there's an opportunity for them to connect a south and eastern track to any other track, they will. If you have north, west, and east, they will connect the northeast. If you have south, west, and east, they'll connect the southeast. If you have north, south, and west, they will connect the south to the west. South and east are kings of corner rails. However, this reverses when they have redstone power. So by adding a lever or switch, you can easily make your rails switch which direction they go into. You can also push rails into position with sticky pistons, provided that they maintain having a block under them at all times. If you try and push them over an air gap, they will break. Minecarts also follow this southeast logic here. You can see that this even though both tracks are straight, will proceed south down the track. However, if you add a downhill track for the collision, they will ignore this and go north. This is because they attempt to go south, but because they are trying to go uphill, it immediately resets it. The last, but maybe most important detail of how corner rails operate is that if a minecart enters from the outside curve of a corner rail, it will attempt to keep going straight. So if we push this along, you can see that it will continue making its way east. The same thing will apply if we go north to south. And that is how you manage to make intersections in Minecraft. Case in point, to demonstrate corner rails, I'll be showing off this old school design for a 3-point intersection, or a T-junction for any rail fans out there. Now this design is fairly simple. You push one button and you go to one direction. You push another button, you go back. But if you push this button, it causes this rail to change direction, allowing the minecart and the player in it to travel whatever way it needs. That's going to conclude today's video. This will be the first in the series, going over first the basic concepts of minecarts and how they work, and later we'll go over specific techs and intersections, elevators, etc., all with different tutorials. We're also going to eventually cover some of my favorite rail-based plugins and some mods as well. For now, if you have any questions or comments, or you'd just like to gush about how minecarts are underappreciated, please head on down to the comments. I'll be reading them all. So until next time, guys, have a fantastic day, and I hope you learned something.